Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen various kinds of shortages. In the beginning, there was shortage of PPE kits and ventilators. Then we saw shortage of oxygen and remdesivir, shortage of crematorium, and now shortage of vaccines. But all along, there has been one very important resource that has always been in short supply, and that is correct information. In the beginning, it is understandable because it was a new disease and we did not know much about it. But now it has been 17 months and I'm amazed at the lack of knowledge, at the ignorance of people who comment in media and in social media, anchors and celebrities, even some experts. And let's not talk about politicians at all. The level of ignorance is such that it is actually dangerous. I think ignorance is going to harm more people than lack of something like oxygen or remdesivir. So I am trying to put together the information and knowledge related to COVID-19 in a very simple language so that more people can understand. In this series, I am going to talk about the wave theory of COVID-19. Waves are the hot topic these days. We have seen a first wave in India. We are in the middle of a very, very lethal second wave. And there is already talk of the third wave. But nobody knows whether it will come, when it will come, and can we stop it or not. So I will talk about wave theory. Before we understand the waves of COVID-19, we should understand the behavior of the coronavirus. The SARS-CoV-2, the coronavirus that causes COVID-19, it has two basic instincts: survive and to multiply. In that regard, it is not very different from the living beings that we see all around us, even though technically the coronavirus is not a living. But it has two basic instincts, which is survival and multiplication. Now we all have heard that the coronavirus can survive in the air for so long, on surfaces for so long, as aerosol, on riding on dust particles. But these are all finite times. The one place where the coronavirus can survive for a very long time is inside the body of a host. And in this case, the host is a human body. Inside the human body, it can also multiply. So it follows that the basic instincts of the coronavirus drives it to find a host that is a human, which it can infect and then survive as well as multiply inside. The coronavirus will continue to do this till eternity. We cannot stop it. The speed with which it spreads and the speed with which it multiplies is such that we do not have any answer for it, at least till now. The only way the coronavirus will stop is when it stops to find any more hosts. And that is possible in two ways. One of them is an artificial way, and the other one is a natural way. Artificial way is something that China did in the beginning of the pandemic in Hubei province, where they imposed such strict restrictions on movement of people that whatever coronavirus was there, it found very difficult to find any new host. The people who were infected, they were isolated, and the rest of the people were shut inside their houses. Only one person from a household was allowed once in 3 days to come out and buy some groceries and medicines and whatever they required. And that too at staggered timings. And they continued to do it for 3 months. And because of that, they were able to control not the coronavirus, but the spread of the coronavirus. They controlled their own population to control the spread of the coronavirus. But that is kind of impractical and not possible for everyone. So what is the second way? The second way is what we call as herd immunity. Herd immunity is when a lot of people have been infected by the coronavirus and they have developed antibodies. So the coronavirus, if now tries to find any new hosts, it finds very few people who do not have antibodies, and then it starts to recede. That is how a wave begins to recede, and we say it is past its peak. But then that is the end of the wave. So let's go to the beginning of a wave. How does a wave start? It just takes one infected person. who might have traveled outside, got infected somewhere and comes into an area, a region, a town or a village, who may have coronavirus. He may not know, but he will have coronavirus. By the end of the week, he might infect 2 more people. By the end of the second week, maybe 5. Third week, maybe 10. By the end of the fourth week, probably 50 people will be infected in that region. But the nature of the disease COVID-19 is such that out of those 50, maybe nobody develop any symptoms. Even if some people develop symptoms, they might think it is the common cold. Even if somebody who is already sick and he develops complication, people might think that the complications are because of the disease with which that person was already suffering. So in this way, silently, this disease keeps on spreading amongst them. In the second month, this number of 50 might go to 1,000. And by now, few people will start coming out. Maybe 100 of them will come out and say they have symptoms. And people will stop talking about in the town or village or region or city. What is the matter? A lot of people seem to have fever and cough. And that is when people will start going to hospitals. And then there will be talk of tests and contact tracing and isolation and what. But even now, with just about 100 people in a region getting the coronavirus or coming out with symptoms, people or the government or the authorities may not realize the gravity of the situation. By the end of the third month, this number will go to 10,000. And now, probably 1,000 new cases would be coming every day. And we will say that a pandemic wave has started. But did the wave start now? No, it started 3 months back. In the case of India, the second wave that is going on right now, it is said to have started around the 10th of March. That is the day the cases began to surge very fast. So we said that the second wave has come, the second wave has come. But it started 3 months back, probably 4 months back. Why I'm saying 4 months? Because states like Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Punjab, Kerala, they had started having a surge in cases in February itself. But these were some pockets in the country. Even within Maharashtra, there were some parts of Maharashtra which had seen a surge. By the month of March, that surge had started happening on entire North India and Central India. And later on, it spread in the eastern and southern part also. And that is when we said that we have a surge, we have a second wave. But this second wave started probably in October and November of last year, which is our festival period, which is the time that we meet and greet the most, which is the time that we do shopping the most, which is the time we travel. People from all over the country go back to their hometowns and native places to celebrate the festivals. This is the time we have most of our marriages and a lot of gatherings, both social as well as religious. This is the time when the second wave of India had started, and it was hidden for 2 months, and by the third month it had started come out in the open. But this wave will also end. Probably it has already passed its peak because cases have been coming down. Why has it happened? You would think that authorities impose restrictions upon the movements of people, and that is why the wave is now receding, but that's not so. The wave will recede naturally even if there are no restrictions. There will come a time when so many people in the area are infected and have antibodies that the coronavirus that is out there hunting may not find many people. The options for the coronavirus are reduced, and that is why the number of cases start. And as time passes, it will go down to a plateau level. Then what about the third wave? When will it come? Remember that as the cases in the second wave start to go down, there will be talk of opening up. There will be talk that the restrictions should be now eased. And gradually we will start going out and starting to lead our lives just like we used. But the coronavirus is still there. It has not gone away. It is only finding less number of people to infect. But as soon as we start our normal routine and normal hustle and bustle of life, we start to give the coronavirus more option. In a number of countries, they have vaccinated a very large number of people. America, for example, has vaccinated half of its adult population, 50%. So there the number of people without antibodies is going to be considerably low. and the spread will also accordingly be low. But in the case of India, we have achieved only 5% vaccination rate. Add to that about 20% of the population which has recently been infected, who also have antibodies to coronavirus. So 20 plus 5, 25% of the people will not be an option for the coronavirus, but 75% people still will be. Which means that if 4 of you get together, 1 would have antibody and 3 will be candidates for new infection. And that is how the third wave will start. In every town, in every village, in every city, within city, in mohallas, there just needs to be 1 person with an infection, and in every gathering of 4 will be 3 candidates, and that is how the third wave will again start. And in the 2 to 3 months, when the cases begin to explode, we will say that the third wave has come. But the third wave would have started right on the day when we would have started going out and leading our lives like normal. So can we stop the third wave? No, we cannot stop the third wave of coronavirus in India. But what we can do is to prevent the third wave from having the same kind of surge in numbers as the second wave had. The number of cases in the second wave had gone up like this. We can prevent it. And we can ensure that the number of cases does grow, but it grows gradually. It will continue for a longer time than the second wave, but the number of cases on a particular day will never be too high, which is called flattening the curve. How can we do that? It's not a government that can do flat. The government cannot do anything, but we can do. How? First and foremost, masks. We need to keep masks on for a long time to come. Entire 2021, and I would say even in 2022, we have to continue wearing masks. And that too, mask doesn't mean that you wrapped a dupatta or a gamcha on your mouth. No, sir. It should be a proper mask, a tight-fitting, good quality mask. A lot of experts will say you wear 2 masks. 2 masks, how does it help? Because it actually tightens up and prevents any space from the sides for anything else to go without going through the mask. So you wear an N95 mask, and over that you wear a cloth mask that may be matching with the clothes if you are so inclined. But that will ensure that nothing enters inside your nose or mouth from the side. And if you are infected, nothing escapes outside. The second requirement is avoiding gathering. I'm afraid any kind of social gathering, any kind of religious gathering, any kind of political gathering, I don't think it is time to allow anything of that in year 2021 or even in 2022. If we want to prevent a large number of deaths, our governments have to prohibit any kind of death. We can say goodbye to watching movies in theaters. We can say goodbye to having a lot of people attending marriages together. Maybe open air marriages would become the norm rather than doing it inside a building or a marriage hall. Restaurants will remain open, but dining out is going to be certainly less. Takeaways will be more popular. We as a people have to avoid going to any places which can be crowded and which can be crowded with people that we do not know. And even if these are people we know, we do not know where they have been, where they are coming from. You can walk on the road, you can go for your morning and evening walks and jogs because you do not actually meet people at that time, you are constantly moving. You can go shopping, you need to, but do not spend too much time shopping. Go to a shop, pick up the things that you want, pay for it, move out. Don't spend any extra time at a place where there may be people whom you do not know. The third thing is the places where we have to spend more time. That is our homes, that is the places of work. Both of these places should be kept well ventilated because the coronavirus, since it is airborne also, it will come inside even if you close it down from all. But once it is inside, it will stay inside if you have kept it closed. So it pays to keep your homes and your workplaces well ventilated so that even if the coronavirus comes in with a draft of air, it goes out with a draft. So these are the 3 things that we have: mask, avoiding gatherings, and ventilation of our homes and places of work. If we do this, irrespective of what the governments do, we will be able to prevent the surge, we will be able to flatten the curve. And if the curve is flat, we will be able to save lives, because hospitals will not run out of beds. Pharmacies will not run out of medicines. We will not run out of infrastructure the way we ran out in the second wave. And lives can be saved. This is all I had to say for today. Thank you.